I was watching my old video I did on Bicentennial Man. And I was talking about how at the end of the movie, they showed, it was a contrast. In the beginning, it was bright and sunny, the courtroom, World Congress. But then at the end, it was dark. I thought that was crazy. How would you have a courtroom at night? I mean, you got night court in some states, but that's like petty crimes. That's just, a lot of that's plea deals and petty crimes. And we're talking about Supreme Court, much higher level court, deciding on matters that really determine the future of our society. Oh yeah, Supreme Court does, whether it be gay marriage or marijuana legalization or cryptocurrency, whatever, People's lives are at stake. Institutions are at stake. And I don't know why for some reason it came to my mind that Bicentennial Man is a good future. Forget about the rest of it. Just the background of it. It's a good future compared to the future we see of increased climate change activity. And from that, you get all these wildfires and just strange storms and really out of character weather patterns, and also war. I have not talked about that before. The effects of climate change upon war, upon people who live beside the seas, upon areas that need water that are going to have less and less water. The water wars that are coming. You look at Los Angeles, that was a desert. And it will return to being a desert one day. And there's been movies, there's been video, people have spoken on this before, that the Iraq War was almost kind of like the future is canceled. And how these movies, the rise of new wave music that it's futuristic, but it takes 80s music. It's almost as though the future's been canceled. And I think that's correct. That's correct. I like lo-fi house. And I like new wave. Not as much as I used to, but I got a playlist of it. And it does seem like that. The future's being canceled. And we're looking at another era's future. We should be going after our own. It's kind of like if me and a friend of mine had ideas of businesses and futures, and then I fuck up and get in trouble. And so now I'm watching his future. I'm watching his business take off. No, I should be on my grind. Ain't nothing wrong with watching other folks. Ain't nothing wrong with watching other people. That's how you get inspiration. And that's how you are. I like to see folks make it. Yeah. But I should be on my grind. I should be making my thing. We should be, the future, because a lot of things in the 80s and the 70s that we don't want to go back to. People of color. So a lot of things back then that weren't that good for us. Period. Let's be clear about that. Yeah, ain't no whitewashing here. You getting it straight up, no chaser. So and there's a lot of things that I personally wish we would put more money into. I'm interested in 0-point energy and things of that nature, and stuff exists. Stuff exists. People always talk about how they look at the future and it's just about like robots, and I don't think that's not it. To me, the future is about being less dependent upon fossil fuels and foreign oils. The future is about empowering the man, empowering the individual more and more to where they're able to do big things with less of the restrictions you once had when you didn't have technology. I read something today. This guy said an iPhone now has more computers and more technology than the whole Apollo 11 rocket, I think. Something like that. I was like, what? Something like that. But, people talk about robotics, and I get it. I mean, to me, that's capitalism. To me, that's the natural flow of capitalism, that I'm going to pay people as little as possible to make as much money as possible. And then eventually I'll try to dumb it down. I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible, not to make it easier on my people, but so I can hire lowlifes. I don't have to specialize no more. You know what I mean? I don't have to specialize And well, you need a twit card. Well, you need a hazmat. Well, you need this. No need. I'll just go get any, like trailers that are automatics. Nothing wrong with them. Just saying. So you take away specialization, so I can pay you less. And if you don't like it, I can just go get any bum off the street. So that takes away what? The power of strikes. The power of a strike being that these are technologically aware people. These people are on their game. They're good at what they do. And every day they're not working, you're losing money. Well, I can get scabs. Shit. Put them in a 2-day class or something. Throw them right in there. May not be perfect, but at least I won't be hemorrhaging all this money. And then after that would be, robots taking over jobs and stuff like that. That's the way I see it. But I don't just see it as a jump to robots. I look at it as capitalism. And it's hard for me to understand how I have conservatives that come up with that. I'm like, well, getting off subject. Well, no, I'm really on subject. I'm really going off subject. But so I don't think the future is all that positive. I guess that's kind of why I took to Minority Report and I took to AI a little bit better than Bicentennial Man. I watched all those movies. You know why I talk about the movie so much? I watched those when I was like 11 and 12, and it was right before my mom died. My mom died in November 2013. And so after that, my life changed abruptly. I don't know much about movies and stuff. It's kind of like my childhood was kind of a disaster after that. Doesn't help when you're already an avoidant personality and you're already avoidant and I had a death wish. I had a fucking death wish because I wanted to be a man. I didn't know what being a man was about. Hadn't dealt with who I was. And it took time to learn who I was and what I like. That's a good thing about driving trucks over the road is that, you get to see a lot and you get to do certain things and not do certain things. Anyway, Tony Bicentennial Man was the idea of an idyllic future. And this idea of the robot coming up with like all the different organs being like robotic, so people could, they get like artificial implants and stuff. That's nice. I don't see it happening. It's cute. Well, you've seen some of it happen, but I don't think it's That's like a brain transplant or something. Remember Face Off? No, I'm not doing that stuff. It's not real. AI was a movie you can watch today. And you'll probably be able to watch that 10 years from now. It's predicated upon the idea of climate change getting so bad that you had to have a license to have kids. I think there was a book written, Super Toys Last All Summer Long. I never read it, but that's where the idea of it came from. And this robot, the name is a boy, he's indelibly altered. He's tied to the woman. She does something to him. He's mother, and she gotta get rid of him because he almost kills her son. And he goes all around the world trying to get back with her. And then he goes underwater and gets frozen 2,000 years, and he's still talking about her. Coming up, he's still talking about her. And I thought that was so cute when I was a kid, and now to me it's really creepy. And it's really creepy, and it's kind of sad because I looked at it as a human. He's a human, like me. My mother died. My mother was taken away from me when I was 13, so I was a kid, and so obviously I would have gone with somebody who would have took care of me. And in the movie Gigolo Joe guy, he was like, I'll take care of you. And the boy was like, no. He just wanted his mother so bad that he didn't care. He did not care. He ran himself into that little trap at the bottom of the ocean. And then at the end, well, I'm not getting back into that. But that's that in the end, climate change got really bad. New York flooded. That's the kind of movie I can watch. because that's realistic. Whereas Bicentennial Man doesn't really get into the future. It's beautiful, but it doesn't really get into, you know what I mean? Whereas AI actually has a discussion of what would a society where climate change has gotten bad, which what does that mean? That means the economy is going to be really hurt. That means it's going to be hard to travel. That means it's going to be hard to, you won't have the same life you have now if climate change got really bad. Government's going to have to respond. That's going to be some problems too, because usually when government responds, they hurt the poor people. That's what happens. That's what I've seen in my lifetime. They're not going to go after corporations, the people who got the money. If they do, it's going to be it's going to be people like you and me who get in trouble for not recycling this plastic, or something like that. We don't recycle, so we go to jail. It'll be something like that. So, I watched the Flesh Fear, and as a grown man, I'm like, yeah, I would be doing that. Well, folks I know would be in the Flesh Fear. Hell yeah. That movie, I'd really like to find out who was behind it, what were the ideas behind it. And if you watch the DVD, they get in talking about it. It's just the idea of this artificial future plus climate change. Because I don't think that robots are just going to come just because it's their time. No, they have, under capitalism, every need, you're going to have somebody that covers that need. That's the idea of capitalism. So if we've got a situation where climate change is bad, we don't have the resources we want to have kids, stuff like that, then we'd have robots to pick up the slack, right? That's the idea. As far as rescue operations, because the storms will get worse. It's like now, storms are getting worse. You're going to have more and more storms. We're not going back to how it once was. Your rescue operations, and two, like in the movie, you had a boy in the image, a robot in the image of a boy that they could love and cuddle because they wouldn't be allowed to have children. They had to be licensed to have children. Minority Report, they call it steampunk or something. I still know what that means, but it's like this kind of a dark future. It didn't really get into the climate. That wasn't a movie that really got into the outside world like that. I mean, it got into something I found interesting, that in that movie, any investigation with a police officer, you had to have, for capital crime, you had to have a federal officer. And I found that interesting. That never happened, but interesting idea. You had pre-crime, which was the idea they could stop crime before it happened and all that stuff. And I still think if that happened, they wouldn't just end it based off of one person. And especially if you got a lot of states out here, the discussion of pre-crime, I'm going to lay it out like this. We just had a discussion recently about the body cameras. And they have some stuff in there, facial imaging or whatever, where they can like zoom in on your face. They can see if you're a criminal or not. And I think a lot of cities are like, no, we're not going to do it because literally it was picking out the wrong people. It was literally getting the wrong people. And, that's bad. I hope they can improve upon it. I'm not a Luddite. I don't think that having more technology makes my life worse. I'm not a Luddite. Okay, I'm talking to you on the cell phone. I really believe that technology can be reformed. It can be fixed, hopefully, down the road. I've never been a victim of a violent crime. I hope I never am. Hope nobody around me is a violent crime, because hope you aren't either, any of the viewers. Because if you do face that, you're going to want justice. Especially if they hurt you in a way that you'll never hold again. Like you're paralyzed or, you're raped. Something like that. You're never going to be the same. That's not a matter of suing them or a matter of them going to prison the rest of their life. You'll never be the same. People that car runs over them and stuff. You know what I mean? I looked at something. Police woman got killed, I believe. These two guys, and they had this back in the '90s. They had this the license plate technology. That's how they were able to catch the guy. License plate readers, and they had just put the stuff in like a month before they got killed. It was over in Great Britain. So I'm not a Luddite. And you have some very violent people out here who are soulless, is the way to put it. But anyway, the whole movie's idea, it's a question of premeditation and a free choice. Are we free to make decisions that determine our fate? Are we free to determine our fate? Or is it predetermined for us? And can you punish somebody based off of what their future will be? Some folks would say they should just be quiet and they should get counseling and all. That's what I thought. I thought that even when I was a kid, I thought that was kind of crazy that, you know. See, one thing about law is what it's supposed to be. You're dealing with bad people, but we're better than those bad people. That's why we punish in the way we do. We're not going to give them piecemeal for piecemeal. I'm not going to, you know, eye for eye, toe for toe. I'm not going to do that, you know, unless you fight. System of justice should be equal. And once we get you in custody and the crime is not committed, there should be counseling. There should be other things. I don't think they should be released. You don't know. They have to face some time. But I don't know. Minority Report's one of them movies that the whole discussion of punishment in the pre-crime era really got to be examined, because these people have not broken any laws. The idea of the pods where they have to watch their crime over and over and over and over. I mean, are they sitting in there forever? Is that it? Because I wonder what that do to a person, watching their own crime over and over and over and over and over. I don't know. Minority Report, you know, it's one of the movies that I believe they were trying to show you what the future was going to be. I'm talking about the Gap ads. Hey, Mr. Yakamoto, and all that kind of stuff. You know, you had that, and then the other stuff. Self-driving cars were interesting in that movie. Very interesting stuff. Minority Report, I think, has somewhat aged a little bit. It's a little dated, whereas AI is not. AI, it's nothing dated about it. But I just think that that movie, it really puts forward a discussion of what the future may or may not be. Whereas Minority Report is about technology. You know what I mean? It's like I used to watch Outer Limits, the new episodes when I was a kid. And this guy, on like the last episode, they had like a DVD, and he was talking about the difference. And he was talking about how with the Twilight Zone was always a fantasy. You know what I mean? We're not all toys in a play box and God's a little girl playing with us. Whereas Outer Limits, all that could possibly happen. All that is totally possible. They had the iRobot episode, you know, the robot killed the dude. That could totally happen. That could happen now. You know, and my favorite episode is Theory of Relativity Theory, where they went out in outer space looking for resources. Let me say this. I think Outer Limits was good. And I say that as far as you can watch that stuff now. That stuff came out in the late 90s. And it's 2019 now. You can still watch those episodes, because I think it showed you the other side of technology, Western imperialism, a sort of Western imperialism that has become more and more desperate, and out of that has become more violent and more vicious. And the fear of it's like if I know a police officer and he's well trained and all that, he's a good guy, but then one day something happens and he gets desperate and he goes rogue. I don't care how close we are. That's a little terrifying, because at the end of the day, you know, like Christopher Dorner in LA. It's a little terrifying because you know his tactics. You know this motherfucker's been trained. He's in shape. His job has been the catcher of man. That's been his job. And now he's fucking on the lam. You know, I think that it's a little terrifying for anybody. But yeah, Minority Report, that I don't know. It's just definitely puts forward some ideas, good and bad. Definitely. Not going into Blade Runner. I'm not even going into that. That movie was kind of crazy. Yeah, that was a little bit crazy. I watched that when I was early 20s and I didn't like it. It's kind of disgusting. But going back to it for a second, Outer Limits, like steel relativity, the idea that we've gotten to the point where we have overdeveloped the entire world to where now we've tore up the Amazon, probably tore up Central Park, everything, to the point where now growth has demanded we go into outer space looking for resources. And a dude was joking about how he had killed somebody in the Amazon and got away with it. All that's, and look at Trump. Look at that guy under Trump. Woo. You see what I'm saying? So what? White supremacy, Western imperialism. And you didn't hear so much about mercenaries back then. That was before 9/11. And look at Blackwater. Look at Triple Canopy. Look at everything we see now. Look at Eric Prince now. You have a president that's actually meeting with him. We've gone from that being kind of a legal gray area to now this is what they're talking about, using private military to do the president's dirty work. Like, wow. So you can watch Outer Limits today and it's like ripped right off some of that stuff ripped right off the pages. Now the idea of an astronaut being stuck in space for 20 years that's a little ridiculous, you know. Putting someone's brain in the body of a super soldier, getting stuck, that's kind of crazy. Oh, it's kind of crazy. Teleportation. There was one, this guy was, like these people in the government were all aliens. And this one dude, he was a good guy though. He was good. He didn't believe it and he got scared to take this stuff and that was kind of crazy. That was a conspiracy theory when I was a kid. I just didn't even know it. Outer Limits was conspiracy theory mixed with sci-fi, mixed with futuristic stuff. Time travel, going back and catching bad people. There was one I like, and we ended with this, where this bunch of people were in a camp, a Nazi camp, and the robots were like Nazis. And you didn't realize until later on in the show they weren't actually Nazis. And the robots were breaking down. They had been around for hundreds of years. And this lady had to try to fix them, keep them running. And I forgot what happened. They ended up getting free or whatever. But she had to decide between, you know, it's kind of like a position. They have the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm. She had to decide between that and freeing her people. And also the fact that if something happened to that guy, I think he was like, I'll kill your family, they'll kill your family and stuff. Interesting stuff. Oh, there was one, they had a ship, people on a ship, and the ship was alive. That was pretty interesting too. A lot of cool stuff in Outer Limits. That show was, to say the head of its time is an understatement. That show was weird. And I wish they had the episodes in order. Peace, y'all.